Awesome. All right. Hello. Good morning, everybody. My name is Maeve Lyon. I am currently a peer advisor at the CGIS office. I'm also a junior at UMich, and I have been brought on two programs so far. So I'd like to say that I'm pretty familiar with funding and being able to find scholarships and financial aid. And today I'm here with Sierra Murphy. She's one of our advisors. For CGIS full-time advisor. So yeah, today we're going to be talking, of course, about finding funding, scholarships, and financial aid for study abroad opportunities. All right, so to start off, we're going to talk about what do you need to know, just a little overview of things that you should be aware of going in to finding financial aid. First of all, each student's financial aid packet is going to be unique to them and their situation. So I wouldn't necessarily base your expectations for your financial aid package off of one of your friends, just because it's going to be very different for everyone. And yeah, it's not necessarily like the same person to person. Additionally, planning ahead is very important. I recommend that when you start looking into your study abroad opportunities or internships, begin to look at funding as well, just so that you're aware of different deadlines. Um, that goes into my next point that the deadlines and the requirements will vary based on different scholarships or applications that you're filling out. So, this is something to keep in mind. You can put these due dates in your calendar just so that it doesn't slip your mind, as I know we all get quite busy here with classes. Also, requirements, of course, will be different. You'll have different questions, a um, different amount of things that you need to be um, letting the people in the scholarships know for each specific application that you're doing. Additionally, I think a really important part of going into financial aid and applying for these packages is that you might get the option of loans. So I think this is something just to keep in mind ahead of time. Um, the potential for getting not only scholarships, grants, but also taking out loans for a study abroad experience. And a lot of these questions will be going through the Office of Financial Aid for financial aid specific um, topics. However, next we're going to be talking about searching for scholarships. So, on top of course, the financial aid office, we at CGIS also offer a lot of different resources to help you find scholarships and funding opportunities, as that is a really large part of studying abroad is, finding the way to fund it. So, if you're looking to start, my personal recommendation is going to be looking at the CGIS website. The CGIS website is such a great resource. It has tons of information about financial aid and scholarships, and it can seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but there are lots of different like tabs, and it's very well organized so that you can look at different financial aid and funding opportunities um, through the website. And I think that that's a really nice condensed resource for you. Additionally, and we'll be talking a little bit more about this later, but academic departments may have potential funding options. Additionally, we have a large spreadsheet that is going to be available on the CGIS website, and it will also be linked, I believe, through this presentation as well. So this presentation additionally is a resource for you guys, and you should be able to get a copy of this. So this spreadsheet we'll be talking about next, and it's just a really great opportunity. Additionally, Google search. Google search is great. I think that a lot of times it's easy to get discouraged looking for funding at University of Michigan alone, but based on the location you're going, something that you want to study, students, different student orgs and different identities, there's a lot of external scholarships. So don't count those out when you're looking for potential funding opportunities. So next up, we're just going to do a little overview of the spreadsheet. So this will, of course, be on the CGIS website, and it'll be under the tab More Scholarships. And it looks like this. It may look quite overwhelming, but it's pretty easy to filter things out. And base it on things that you may qualify for, or specific programs that you're doing, or departments, language, all those different factors. So yeah, this spreadsheet's also, of course, linked right here in this presentation. So definitely check that out in your search. So another part of course, searching is really taking your time to do this. This is something that I think is really important, and this is something that I've personally done 2 times now before I've gone abroad, is really taking my time and going over all my potential opportunities to try to maximize my potential to get funding. So, of course, there's going to be the major and the common scholarships. Here at CGIS, we offer the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship. This is a really large scholarship and it's a good opportunity to potentially secure funding. There are some caveats with it, and that is that you must be a financial aid student in order to qualify for it. However, we recommend that all of our eligible students apply for the study abroad scholarship. Additionally, the LSA International Internship Scholarship is really quite a great resource. I think that some people don't necessarily consider doing an internship for study abroad, but this can be a really great opportunity. And there's also some pretty good, pretty interesting funding for internships as well. And then if you're a Pell Grant recipient, some good news is there's a couple different scholarships available. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Gilman later, and then specific program type ones such as GCC and the GIEU. If you are a Pell Grant recipient, then you can potentially qualify for getting those program fees covered. Additionally, if you have a certain language of interest or you're going to a region where you're going to be studying a language, the Boren Scholarship is definitely worth your time to look into. And then, of course, the International Institute is going to have funding and the Go Blue, Go Abroad Scholarship. So, those are some of our larger scholarship opportunities to look at. However, less common scholarships are also really great opportunities. So these are more specific. There probably won't be as many people applying for them. And it can be really based on your personal experiences and your individual identity, as well as things that you are particularly interested. For example, we have the Summer Environmental Studies Scholarship that's based in a certain major, and then study abroad in places like Japan, and CSP Opportunity Grant, that's based on a student org. There's different scholarships for identities, such as the NAFSA Rainbow Scholarship. And of course, the first gen education, summer in Korea, and then provider specific scholarships. So essentially, a lot of our CGIS programs are in partnership with separate organizations, and those are our providers. And some of these providers also provide their own opportunities for scholarships. For example, here, the DIS Scandinavia Diversity Scholarship. Next up, we're going to be talking about something that I am particularly really excited about because this is a resource that I have used, and this is something that I always recommend to students who are looking to find scholarship opportunities, and that is individual department aid. So obviously, we might all be in LSA or in a different college within Michigan. However, a lot of us, once you have a declared major, are nestled within a department. And these departments are really great at providing individualized resources and opportunities based on the goal and kind of the founding beliefs of each department and their missions. For example, if like biology or chemistry, there's a lot of opportunities for research. Yeah, another thing is language specific programs. This is something that I've used before. So there's specific scholarships for study in Japan, Korean. Um, Additionally, Romance Language and Literatures Department has a great scholarship opportunity for languages such as Spanish, French, Italian, and Portuguese. So yeah, this is really important. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to go to your department webpage. I have some examples here. For example, LSA Econ and Mathematics, and that's what the general webpage looks like. And then to the left-hand side, there's going to be a tab that has different filters for things, and you're going to want to go to the award, scholarship, prizes, funding. There's some different words for it depending on the particular department, but generally it's going to be some kind of scholarship award type of wording. So keep an eye out for that. For example, the econ department has an LSE funding for the London School of Economics. This, of course, is a very specific scholarship for a specific program in a specific place. However, it's definitely worth looking into. I think additionally, another thing that's important is just because you're not majoring within a specific department won't necessarily count you out. It'll be based on the specific requirements that make you eligible. So, for example, if you're minoring in a certain department or if you're studying a language to meet your distribution requirements, you still may be eligible for specific department awards. And make sure, again, that you're reading through those requirements very carefully to make sure that you do, in fact, qualify. Another thing that's really important is to talk to your advisors and your professors. This is a way that I found actually a really great funding opportunity this past summer. So, yeah, I think that talking to the people and the resources that are available to you can also be a really great opportunity. Additionally, if you're doing research or looking for a research-based program, there's generally pretty good resources for research funding within particularly STEM departments. So I have some examples pulled up here with MCDB, biology, some chemistry ones. Yeah, so those are some really great opportunities. Maybe consider doing research or an internship. Um, Here we have like internship stipends. That's kind of my last point here is I think that doing an internship abroad can be a great opportunity. And a lot of departments, specifically like communications and media, I know that one for sure will offer um, different applications so that you can try to get funding for unpaid internships. So that's definitely something to look into if you are considering maybe doing an internship abroad. All right. And then here are just some little tip is don't count yourself out. Don't doubt your ability or your eligibility for a certain scholarship. Don't count yourself out. Don't tell people that like don't disqualify yourself before you even apply. I think it's worth trying to apply. And yeah, don't doubt yourself. I think there's a lot of times that we all have a little bit of imposter syndrome, but these scholarships are here for you guys. They're here so that students can go abroad and students can get funding. So that's something that's really important to note. Set yourself up for success. This kind of goes off of that point that I just made. How can you be a strong candidate? Make sure that you're doing the groundwork, you're researching the scholarship, you're reading the prompt, you're reading the whole prompt, you're making sure that in your responses you're answering the question. Try to tell a story. What are your specific challenges? How have you grown? How is this experience and this funding, which would allow you to do this experience, going to help propel you forward academically in the future? How are you going to specifically benefit from this program? How is this going to support your academics, your professional and personal goals? And make sure that you're using concrete examples. Some things we're going to talk about is storytelling through past, present, future, and then using ethos, logos, and pathos. Yeah, so just an example talking about German, somebody who is wants to go abroad to Germany. So while they're applying for the scholarship or grant, they're talking about a past example. They began learning German. They had some challenges with that. They want to go to Germany. Why do you want to go to Germany? Why do you want to pursue this experience abroad? And then future, of course, how is this going to benefit your future, your professional career? Why is this important to you specifically? And really talk about that. Why is this important? Why is this critical to you? Why do you want to do this? Additionally, you can use ethos, logos, pathos, these kinds of appeals. So, for example, you can talk about how you had an interest in something growing up. Where does your strength lie? What are your morals? What do you love? And how have you been challenged by that? And how did that get you to where you are today? What kind of credentials do you possess? Additionally, you can make a logical appeal. You can talk about this specific program I want to do is great for me because it pertains to things that I want to do in the future and things that I've been setting myself up to do in the past. So that, walk people through the logic of why you're applying for this specific thing. And then you can also talk about different specific motivations and emotional appeals to like identities that you might have that could potentially um, enhance your experience. For example, if you're a woman in STEM or you're someone who has been trying really hard to learn a language and develop it, and it's really important to you that you're able to, you know, have that motivation of being able to go abroad and use your language. So yeah, and then just a last minute reminder of health and safety stuff. It's really important to keep in mind that US State Department travel warnings may potentially affect some of these scholarships available, and it may prohibit funding to certain areas. So just really ensure that a scholarship is currently available before you put in the work of applying. And of course, read the travel restrictions and warnings and make sure that the experience that you're looking into is going to be something that you are able to do in the future.
Yeah, so now we're just going to talk about a little bit of the spotlight. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship and the LSA International Internship Scholarship that Maeve talked about earlier. Also about our new Go Blue, Go Abroad Scholarship and Workshop, more about financial aid, and then lastly, we have a guest speaker to talk about Gilman. Yeah, so for the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship, here at CGIS, we highly recommend that you apply for it if you are eligible because your scholarship funds can help cover the cost of your attendance and travel for the program. And did you know students who qualify and have unmet financial need receive an average of like $4,000 for the scholarship? And in order to qualify, you need to be going on a CGIS study abroad program for a minimum of 12 credits because you have to be full time to receive financial aid. You also have to be a U.S. citizen or I think, naturalized citizen is like kind of like how they call it, or like a permanent resident. And then you have to be financial aid student, like Maeve said. And then, yeah, and you also have to be in LSA as well. Um, for winter applications, so if you're looking at you maybe winter 27, the applications will open in October and they will close November 30th. And if you have more information about it, you can visit the LSA scholarships website to look at the application and just to, read more about it. And then you can also meet with an LSA scholarship advisor to assess your eligibility. So you can schedule an appointment with them or you can email them as well if you have any questions or concerns about it. And then for additional scholarships, we have a link below. And then we have the LSA International Internship Scholarship. So this scholarship can help cover the cost of attendance and travel based on program budgets for our CGIS summer internships. So scholarships will vary in amount depending on the cost of a student's internship experience and the student's demonstrated level of financial need. Applications will open October 1st and then they will end March 1st. And then to be eligible, you have to be going on an international internship program through CGIS. You have to be an undergraduate student here at U of M, enrolled full-time and pursuing a degree in the College of LSA. And then you must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, have applied and received need-based aid through the Office of Financial Aid for the current academic year, have a CSS profile and current year FAFSA on file with the Office of Financial Aid, and then you have to return to LSA as an enrolled undergraduate student in the fall term following the internship. So if you were thinking of, switching over to, let's say, the Ross School of Business for that fall term, you would then not be qualified for the International Internship Scholarship. Then we have the Go Blue, Go Abroad Scholarship. So we have the Go Blue, Go Abroad workshop and scholarship, and it's designed to help new students navigate the process of study abroad and prepare for a transformative international experience. So students will need to attend 3 workshop sessions and complete 2 reflective assignments in order to receive the scholarship, and the program is specifically open to first-year students enrolled here at the Ann Arbor campus. Students who fulfill these requirements will be eligible to receive a $1,000 scholarships towards any U of M study abroad program, which includes CGIS. And then just talking a little bit more about financial aid. So OFA, also known as the Office of Financial Aid, they have their own individual section in their department for study abroad. So generally, students are able to use their financial aid packages in some way, shape, or form during their study abroad program if they are going through U of M. So we strongly recommend that applicants meet with OFA to discuss how aid packages will be applied during your study abroad year. And then to get an idea of how much you could receive, you can complete a study abroad estimate worksheet and share it with the Office of Financial Aid to see how much you will receive. So they look at it and they say, okay, based on how much your program costs and how much financial needs you have, we will give you X amount of money that includes scholarships and include loans as well. So be mindful of that. And if you have any questions, you can also email them at finaid.abroad@umich.edu. And then now we have the Gilman Scholarship, and we're having one of our CGIS alum. He will be presenting to you guys and talking a little bit more about the Gilman Scholarship.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Kobe Yankson. I'm a recent CGIS alum and alum of the university overall. So this summer, I had the opportunity to study abroad in Kyoto through one of the English-speaking programs at CIEE, and I think it was a pretty transformative experience. Um, and I had the honor also to receive the Gilman Scholarship, which is a national scholarship that helps people have the opportunity to be able to afford to go abroad. So I have like four main questions and I'll answer each of them. So who is eligible for the Gilman Scholarship? So to be eligible for the Gilman Scholarship, you need to be a US citizen and somebody who receives the Pell Grant. And some criteria to also receive it, you need to enroll in a study abroad program that's credit bearing and it needs to be approved by your institution. So anything on CGIS should be fine as long as it meets that criteria. And a lot of students think you might need a super high GPA or like special connections. I don't think any of that's true. But Gilman cares about like providing access to a lot of underrepresented students and people who wouldn't have the means to go abroad otherwise. So what makes or what components make for a strong Gilman essay? For what worked for me, I think the best Gilman essays are typically personal, specific, and reflective. And basically you need to explain why do you want to study abroad? How does it align with your academic or your long-term career goals? And how would this experience expand your worldview? I think you need to also be talking very honestly about your financial need. And what helped me was grounding my experiences wanting to be a doctor, talking about how having the ability to study in Kyoto would be a great service for me for one, being a good physician and having a better and broader worldview. And I try to connect that through public health goals and like other aspirations I had as well. And what are some requirements of you once you receive the Gilman Scholarship? Well, you're gonna have to answer like a few questions to receive the scholarship. Then they will zell it to you, and then you have a lot of mini tasks to complete for them as it, like when you arrive to the country, where you staying, things like that nature. And then also once you receive it, you have to do a follow-on service project. And what the follow-on service project like basically entails is that you share your experience and try to increase access to the Gilman Scholarship for other people. And basically, it can be a presentation, an event, like a mentorship event, a workshop, or like social media content. And this project is pretty important because it turns your experience into like tangible impact. And for me, I'm trying to use my story as part of my follow-on service project to spread awareness of the scholarship and provide like widespread access to it. And with that, who can I ask for help when it comes to writing my Gilman scholarship essay? I think a great resource that you can utilize is the Sweetland Writing Center. They helped me a lot. Asking your other friends, and I'm even willing to read some essays and provide some feedback so that we could both benefit and I could try to help you achieve this scholarship and study abroad dream.
Thank you so much, Kobe, for willing to talk to us, about your experience during your Kyoto program and talking about the Gilman Scholarship. And like he said, if you guys do, want a little bit more information or you want him, to review your essay, he will. So please reach out to him if that is something you are interested in, if you want to apply for the Gilman Scholarship. And then, so our last slide will be, some of our resources. So on our CGIS website, we have our more scholarships page and then our scholarship list that Maeve showed you earlier. On Encompass, we now have advanced searching where you can choose the program type funding. And then Colby mentioned the Sweetland Writing Center. So they are great for essay help and critique, and they have asynchronous written feedback and peer writing center. We have OFA Study Abroad Center in their office, and they can help you understand your financial aid package for when you're going abroad. Don't forget to fill out that study abroad estimate worksheet so you can see how much you receive for the program you want to go on. And then if you are thinking, maybe about looking at the International Center, they also have a page for funding for study abroad. And then the International Internship Fellowships, they have the Have Funding and Will Travel spreadsheet as well. So yeah, thank you all for coming to our presentation. Feel free to scan to sign up for our CGIS newsletter if you haven't already. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you're interested in talking to maybe Colby, feel free to email me and I can share his email as well.